All right, everyone. So now that I've finished all three Mafia games, and I finished them all before Mafia 4 came out, I wanted to just discuss which one I think is the best. Now, this isn't going to be a video that is, comparing in depth for 50 minutes to an hour. This is just going to be me kind of rattling off my honest feelings about each one and where I think each one went wrong and which one is the best. I also want to say that Mafia 1, I did not play the original version. I played the definitive edition. So when I played the definitive edition of Mafia 1, it's a little bit unfair for me to say that, okay, Mafia 1 is better than 2 and 3, even though that might be where I'm heading, just because that's not the actual original game. And I might have felt differently about the original game. So I just wanted to say that before we get into it. So I want to start by breaking it up into categories. I really think Mafia 1 and Mafia 2 are very easily compared, and Mafia 3 is really its own game in its entirety, right? Mafia 1 and Mafia 2 follow basically a similar structure where it is completely narrative driven. There's not this crazy amount of things you could do outside of the story, especially Mafia 1. Mafia 2 doesn't, I mean, it has some stuff, but not a lot. Mafia 3 has a load of stuff to do outside of the story. And I think they are two completely, or they're, they're two completely different groups, right? Mafia 1, I feel, or Mafia 1 and 2, I feel like they lay out a story for you and you follow that story. Mafia 3, you kind of make your own story in a way. I mean, it's within a framework, but you're making your own story. So I wanted to get that done right off the bat. The game I like the most certainly would be Mafia 1. And the reason for that is because I think Mafia 2 tries a little bit of trying to be something else. It doesn't go all the way in, but it just doesn't hit in any way on the kind of open world aspect. Mafia 1 doesn't even attempt to play into that open world aspect. In fact, there's a setting you could just not drive from one mission to the other unless it's like part of the mission that you need to be driving. That to me was great because I could just get through the story. Mafia 2, the problem I had was there were times when, okay, you're in a mission, you have to drive here. Then you got to go pick this guy up. Then you got to pick this guy up. You got to go do this mission. Then when you're done with the mission, you got to bring him back. Then you got to do this. Then you got to do that. To me, it was just so much busy work and stuff I really didn't want to do, driving from one side of the place to the other side, to the other side, and back and forth and back and forth, and it took away a little bit. I would have just preferred to actually play through the missions. It's almost like the fact that they added in these other elements, it kind of ruins in some way what I liked. And I loved Mafia 2. Don't get me wrong. I just think the definitive edition for Mafia 1, I just went from mission to mission to mission, and it really kept me engaged in the story. The other part of Mafia 2 that I just didn't think was great was kind of the money system. There's a few ways you could actually make money in the game, but what's the point of making money when first of all you lose it time and time again, right? I mean, there's one time when your house gets set on fire, you just lose all your money. So if you had built up any semblance of money, if you had taken the time to build up that money, you would lose it all. So there's just not really any incentive to do it, right? What is the actual incentive? That's just my take on it. I liked Mafia 2. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the characters were fine. I just felt like Mafia 2 left, there was no love interest like there was in Mafia 1, even though they were hinting at it. Like there's a lot of different things that I just think Mafia 2 tries, but doesn't connect. Whereas Mafia 1, everything it kind of tries, I feel like it hits on, right? Everything in there you really, really care about. And you do care, don't get me wrong, about things in Mafia 2, but really the only thing that you care much about in Mafia 2 is Joe and yourself, whereas in Mafia 1, hey, I mean, you got two guys that you're very close with that are by your side. You really know a lot of the other members of this, you know, mob a lot better. So I think Mafia 1, in my opinion, is the best of all of them. Or like I said, that I like the most. And I think part of the reason for that is because Mafia 2 just tries a few things that I just don't know if they necessarily land. Um, and that's kind of a problem. Okay, now let's compare them to Mafia 3. So my problems with Mafia 3 have very little to do with the actual game itself. Meaning, if you took the Mafia title off the game, I think I'd like it even more. My problem with the Mafia 3 game is that it's not really a Mafia game, right? It's not really a game that's structured in the same way that the first 2 are. The first 2, they're driving the story for you. You're kind of following along. Mafia 3, you're making your own story in a lot of ways, right? You're making these decisions. And I'm not against that, but it just doesn't feel the same. There's also kind of this build up to the points I like the most where it just feels like the game, it has these real gems throughout, but because they tried to do so much with Mafia 3, that it takes you a little while to get there. It takes you a little while to get to the places that are the most fun and to really understand how everything's working, right? To really take on the big guy that you're trying to take out. I mean, I was already hours upon hours into the game until I was beginning to take out kind of the lieutenants and everybody else in that family, and that was my favorite part. So the fact that didn't really get to do that for quite some time, it just shows me that the game, if you're going to make a big drastic change, you got to make sure you pull it off perfectly. And I don't think so. I think this game did not follow the same kind of like it just wasn't the same type of game. And if you're making it for fans of a certain series and you completely change all of it, I can completely understand why people weren't happy. On the flip side, I had maybe the most fun actually playing that one because I thought the combat was so cool. The fact that you can call a car, you can call weapons, you can call just all these different things. The money system actually matters. Like, was just super cool, was just super, super cool. So I don't know. I understand the frustration with people with Mafia 3, but I really, really enjoyed Mafia 3. Still not more than I enjoyed Mafia 1. So that's kind of my take on all these games. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I just feel like the kind of the key part of Mafia is that story and that connection you have. Mafia 2 gives you more of that than Mafia 3, there's no question about it. By Mafia 3, you have a little bit of it, but it just, it's almost like you're getting the payoff so much later. You've already done so much stuff before you get any form of that payoff. I still think Mafia 1's the best. And Mafia 2, I would say the story is better, but I think Mafia 3, the overall gameplay is much better. So, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.